Welcome to Fresh Homegrown Harvest, the channel where we help gardeners and homesteaders grow healthier plants, harvest more food, and avoid costly mistakes in the garden. If you're growing tomatoes this season, then today's video could save your entire harvest. July is one of the most exciting months in the tomato garden. Plants are growing rapidly, flowers are turning into fruit, and the promise of juicy homegrown tomatoes is finally becoming a reality. But July is also the month when many gardeners accidentally sabotage their plants without even realizing it. A single mistake during this critical stage can reduce your harvest, weaken your plants, or even kill them entirely. Many gardeners spend months preparing their tomato beds, choosing the perfect varieties, and carefully transplanting seedlings in spring. Then July arrives with its intense heat, sudden storms, increased pest pressure, and rapid plant growth. Suddenly, problems begin appearing everywhere. Leaves turn yellow, flowers drop, fruit cracks, and entire plants begin to decline. The frustrating part is that many of these issues are not caused by bad luck or poor weather. They're caused by common mistakes that almost every tomato grower makes at some point. In today's video, we're going to reveal the 5 biggest mistakes you must never make when growing tomatoes in July. These are the exact mistakes that ruin countless tomato harvests every summer. Stay with us until the end, because mistake number 3 is one of the most dangerous errors a gardener can make, and it can destroy a healthy tomato plant in just a matter of days. Let's begin with mistake number 1, watering your tomatoes incorrectly during hot weather. July temperatures can make gardeners panic. When the sun is blazing and tomato leaves begin drooping in the afternoon heat, the natural reaction is to grab the hose and start watering immediately. Unfortunately, this instinct often causes more harm than good. Tomatoes need consistent moisture, but they do not need constant moisture. There's a major difference between keeping soil evenly moist and keeping it permanently wet. One of the biggest mistakes gardeners make during July is watering lightly every single day. While this may seem helpful, shallow daily watering actually encourages tomato roots to remain near the soil's surface. Surface roots dry out quickly, making plants increasingly dependent on frequent watering. As temperatures rise, these shallow-rooted plants become stressed much faster than plants with deep root systems. Overwatering also creates ideal conditions for root rot, fungal diseases, and nutrient deficiencies. Tomato roots require oxygen as much as they require water. When soil remains saturated for long periods, roots literally struggle to breathe. As root systems weaken, the entire plant begins suffering. Leaves may yellow, growth slows, and fruit production dramatically declines. Instead of watering every day, water deeply and thoroughly. Allow moisture to penetrate several inches into the soil, encouraging roots to grow downward where conditions remain cooler and more stable. Then wait until the upper layer of soil begins drying before watering again. Adding mulch around your tomato plants can dramatically reduce water loss while helping maintain consistent soil temperatures. Another common symptom of poor watering practices is fruit cracking. When tomato plants experience cycles of drought followed by heavy watering, fruits absorb water too quickly and split open. These cracks reduce fruit quality and invite disease and insect damage. Consistency is the key to successful tomato watering during July. Now let's move on to mistake number 2, failing to protect tomato plants from extreme summer heat. Many gardeners underestimate how stressful July heat can be for tomatoes. Although tomatoes love warm weather, they have limits. When temperatures regularly exceed 90 degrees Fahrenheit, tomato plants begin experiencing significant stress. Flowers may drop before producing fruit, pollen becomes less viable, and fruit production can slow dramatically. Heat stress often causes gardeners to believe their plants have diseases or nutrient deficiencies. In reality, the plants are simply struggling to cope with excessive temperatures. Leaves may curl upward to reduce moisture loss, growth may slow, and flowers may fail to develop into tomatoes. One of the best ways to protect tomatoes during heat waves is by maintaining healthy mulch around the base of each plant. Mulch helps regulate soil temperature and preserves moisture. During periods of extreme heat, temporary shade cloth can also provide significant relief. Even a small reduction in temperature can dramatically improve tomato productivity. Proper spacing between plants is equally important. Crowded tomato plants trap heat and humidity, increasing stress levels while encouraging disease development. Adequate airflow helps cool plants naturally and reduces the risk of fungal problems. If you notice flowers dropping during hot weather, don't panic. Once temperatures moderate, healthy tomato plants often resume normal fruit production. The key is helping your plants survive the stressful period without additional damage. Now we come to mistake number 3, the mistake that kills thousands of tomato plants every year: improper fertilization during peak growing season. This mistake is incredibly common because gardeners naturally assume that bigger plants require more fertilizer. Unfortunately, tomatoes do not work this way. Excess fertilizer, especially nitrogen-heavy fertilizer, can quickly become disastrous. Many gardeners see slow growth or pale leaves and immediately apply more fertilizer. Others fertilize weakly, believing they're maximizing production. What actually happens is that the soil becomes overloaded with nutrients and salts. These salts accumulate around the roots, preventing the plant from absorbing water effectively. The symptoms of fertilizer burn can appear surprisingly quickly. Leaves begin curling or browning at the edges. Plants may wilt despite having moist soil. Growth becomes distorted, and flowers may drop unexpectedly. In severe cases, entire plants collapse and die because the damaged roots can no longer function properly. High nitrogen fertilizers present another major problem. Rather than producing tomatoes, plants respond by generating enormous amounts of foliage. You end up with giant green plants that produce very few fruits. The garden looks impressive, but harvests remain disappointing. The safest approach is using a balanced tomato fertilizer specifically designed for flowering and fruiting plants. Always follow the recommended dosage carefully. Remember that more fertilizer rarely equals more tomatoes. Healthy tomato production depends on balance, not excess. Another crucial rule is never applying fertilizer to dry soil. Always water your plants before fertilizing and water again afterward. This helps distribute nutrients safely and prevents root damage. Mistake number 4 involves neglecting pruning and airflow during the peak growing season. By July, many tomato plants become enormous. Branches spread in every direction, leaves become densely packed, and plants can quickly resemble miniature jungles. While this growth may appear healthy, excessive foliage creates serious problems. Dense foliage traps moisture and restricts airflow. Warm, humid conditions provide the perfect environment for fungal diseases such as early blight, septoria leaf spot, and powdery mildew. Once these diseases become established, controlling them can be extremely difficult. Pruning doesn't mean aggressively cutting your plants apart. Instead, it means selectively removing unnecessary growth to improve airflow and plant health. Lower leaves touching the ground should usually be removed because they provide an easy pathway for soil-borne diseases to infect the plant. For indeterminate tomato varieties, removing some suckers can also improve productivity and airflow. This allows the plant to direct more energy toward fruit production while reducing excessive crowding. However, moderation is important. Removing too much foliage exposes fruit to intense sunlight and can cause sunscald. The goal is creating balance, enough foliage to protect fruit, but enough airflow to maintain plant health. Regular pruning also makes pest monitoring easier. You can quickly inspect stems, leaves, and developing fruit without fighting through dense growth. Finally, let's discuss mistake number 5. Ignoring pests and diseases until it's too late. July is prime season for tomato pests. Warm temperatures accelerate insect reproduction, meaning small problems can become major infestations almost overnight. Tomato hornworms, aphids, whiteflies, spider mites, flea beetles, and stink bugs all become increasingly active during this period. One tomato hornworm may consume large amounts of foliage within just a few days. Aphids multiply rapidly and weaken plants by sucking sap. Spider mites thrive in hot, dry conditions and can quickly damage entire gardens. Disease pressure also increases significantly during July. Fungal infections spread rapidly during warm, humid weather. Bacterial diseases can move quickly through crowded plantings. Unfortunately, many gardeners don't notice problems until severe damage has already occurred. The best defense is frequent inspection. Spend a few minutes every day checking your plants carefully. Examine the undersides of leaves, inspect stems, and watch for unusual discoloration, spots, holes, or insects. Early detection can mean the difference between saving a plant and losing an entire crop. Maintaining good garden hygiene is equally important. Remove diseased leaves immediately. Clean up fallen plant debris. Avoid watering leaves whenever possible. Healthy gardening practices create an environment where tomatoes can thrive while diseases struggle to establish themselves. Let's quickly review the 5 tomato mistakes you must never make during July. First, avoid watering incorrectly because inconsistent moisture damages roots and fruit. Second, protect plants from excessive heat stress during summer weather. Third, never over-fertilize or apply fertilizer improperly because this mistake can literally kill your plants. Fourth, maintain proper pruning and airflow to reduce disease risk. And fifth, monitor constantly for pests and diseases so small problems never become catastrophic ones. Remember, successful tomato gardening isn't about working harder, it's about making smarter decisions at the right time. July is the month when your tomato plants need careful attention, balanced care, and consistent monitoring. The effort you invest now will determine whether you enjoy baskets overflowing with delicious homegrown tomatoes or spend the rest of the season trying to save struggling plants. If you enjoyed today's video and found these tomato growing tips helpful, make sure to subscribe to Fresh Homegrown Harvest, hit the like button, and leave a comment below telling us which tomato mistake you've experienced in your own garden. We'd love to hear your stories and tips. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next harvest adventure.